kinds of drives, right? They're super cheap. Like, I mean, come on, you can buy 10 of those for $18 here. A very low capacity, but still. Um, those are being produced for very, very cheap, and you often, this is just an example, you can see them under lots of different brands. I'm so and you often find them bundled with devices that need some flash memory, some cheap flash memory. So, for example, I had the one that I'm going to talk about today is one I got with my 3D printer, and it had the software on it for the 3D printer, and I used it for a while. Maybe I should have just switched directly to a proper, robust USB drive to do that. But at the same time, it gets near the printer, it can get dirty with the resin and so on. So it makes sense to have a cheap disposable drive here. And disposable is the key word here because, I mean, come on, those things are really, really, really crappy. And case in point, after a few months of using the USB stick with the 3D printer, it just broke down. So yeah, how crappy are those things? Actually, I show you just how crappy they are. They have radiation design, USB 2.0, very modern, and they have a rope hole design. Yeah, they are just crappy USB sticks. Crappy, crappy, crappy. And they break down very fast. Can you guess why? Anyway, so here's what it looks like inside. They probably don't cost very much to make. You have a couple of surface mount chips in there, a few other components, and that's pretty much it. But here's the thing. When I opened it yesterday, so it was misfunctioning. Like, you would put the USB stick in the in a USB socket on the computer, and it would seem to detect it, and the connection would drop immediately. Like, you had to hold it to make it do anything, and yeah, I suspected, well, it has a bad connection. The connection between the USB port and the circuit board must be weak, and let's just open it and see what's inside. And what I discovered is that those two solder points here that are basically structural. The actual data connections are here on the other side, but those are basically to hold on to the USB port. They weren't soldered at all. There was no solder at all in there. So no wonder this thing was wobbling after, taking it in and out of the printer and the computer repeatedly. Those things are not only not designed to sustain continuous plug-in and unplug-in, which is kind of the point of a USB stick, you would argue, but it's designed not to hold. Those contacts here are not enough to hold durably to the port. They are just, I refloated this. I refloated this as well, but the main thing I did was put some solder points here on on those pins here, which you'd think would be done at the factory if those were meant to last for more than a few weeks or a few months. But they are not, of course they are not. And why are they not? Because, well, they are not just designed to be as cheap as possible. They are designed to fail as fast as possible. And they're designed to fail as fast as possible so that you have to buy a proper USB stick when they fail, instead of repairing them like I did here. But yeah, that's the goal here. The companies that sell you those cheap things, or sell the 3D printer manufacturers those cheap things, want them to fail very fast. And they make sure that it doesn't have the structural integrity to withhold continuous usage. That's pretty much it. That's capitalism for you. Yeah. When a system is designed to optimize for greed, that's what happens. Well, it's just a small thing, but that's just a cheap USB stick that you have to replace with a more expensive one. But you think your phones and toasters and other cheap appliances are not just programmed for obsolescence, but programmed to fail and be thrown into a dump somewhere. Well, of course they are. And this is just another sad example of that. Not exactly surprising. It didn't surprise me. I just was amused by the sheer, pettiness of it all. Not surprised. Just, I mean, come on. Anyway, that's me rambling about a cheap USB stick that I repaired yesterday. Have a nice day, everyone.